Wow! Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of the 1% Better live show. So, this is probably the one and only quite unique live show that I put together called 1% Better, where I want to pull together all the best techniques, skills, principles, habits, etc., that combines personal development and professional growth dedicated and designed specifically for young adults like you and me. And let's face it, I'm only in my 20s, and being someone in my 20s, sometimes I find it really hard to keep up with things. The world is changing so quickly. There's so many things that I have to learn, adapt very quickly. But I know that I can do more. I know that I have more potential inside me. I know that I can become a better person. I can go to the next level. I can do more things. But sometimes we just need the steps. We just know the know-how, um, how to get there. What do we need to do? What do we need to focus on, etc. And this show is to pull all those things together so that we can all grow together, just 1% better at a time. I just want to show you this, just 1% better at any single time, right? Baby steps to create great results for us. And let me just pull this up very quickly, right? Just live and grow 1% better. Now, very quickly, today we're going to go into a topic on loneliness, right? It's going to be quite a deep topic. But I think a lot of young adults nowadays are facing all these challenges. We have just been through a big pandemic, still going through, by the way. Lots of things have happened. Sometimes we feel alone, sometimes we feel very lonely. And today we're going to look at a very specific case study to look at, to understand the topic of loneliness a bit more, and specifically what we can do to address it. And I'm going to be sharing a very personal story on how I faced loneliness and what I did to overcome some of those challenges. And by the way, if you two things. First of all, if you keep seeing me going to the right, looking at the screen, it's just because I'm having to juggle everything on this live show at the moment. So I just need to make sure that you see the relevant content on the screen. But secondly, is that if you like the idea, if you're someone like me, you're in your 20s, sometimes we find it hard to have people to talk to about the challenges that we're facing. And I want to create an environment where we can all learn and grow together as a community, be a supportive community for each other. So if you like the idea of it, share this with a friend or hit that like or subscribe so that when we go live next time, you'll be notified. All right, without further ado, let's jump into the topic of loneliness. And today's case study, we're going to look at this. So this is something I got from Reddit, right? The topic is, I want to learn how to ward off loneliness. Help with exclamation mark. So I'm a 24-year-old female working as a software developer in India. I have a well-paying job, a group of very supportive close friends, and a sibling who understands and loves me. My relationship with my family is a little rocky, but not too bad, at least at the moment. But I've been single for a while now, about 2 years to be accurate, and well, sometimes it feels lonely. I think this loneliness comes in phases. Sometimes it just gets so intense that I remain sad for a few days to weeks. I've tried to be strong and I've tried to focus on myself instead of longing for something, but I feel like I'm running in circles. I always have a certain void because of the absence of romantic love in my life. I miss having a go-to person. I miss feeling loved. And whenever I go through these lonely phases, I feel very weak and blame myself for being this way. I know that I need to be kinder to myself, and I am trying. But are there any coping mechanisms anyone is aware of to stop feeling this way regularly? I've been in therapy, but not particularly for this issue. Everything I read on the internet seems generic and not useful. Are there any resources, books, podcasts, YouTube channels that anyone would recommend? Please, please help. Wow. So if you're experiencing this, right, I want to firstly let you know that you are not alone. Okay. A lot of people are going through this at the moment, but the fact that you have the courage to speak up and share your vulnerabilities is something that I think is worth commending, right? Because A lot of people just hold all those emotions to ourselves. We're trying to hide things to ourselves. We don't want to share it because we're afraid that people might mock at us. We feel ashamed and all these things. But the fact that you're asking for help is always a great sign. And I would encourage everyone, if you're having or going through some challenges in life, always try to seek some help and share with people who might be able to support you through that process. But anyway, going back to the topic of loneliness. So for me, this is quite an interesting topic. But in order to find out what can you do to tackle loneliness, we want to first really understand what this thing about loneliness is, right? So we really want to start from here. We want to understand, why do we feel lonely and what does loneliness actually mean? Why do we feel lonely and what does loneliness actually mean? So for me, from my personal experience, right, loneliness is some kind of uncertainty that we have about a future. And normally it links to a third party, right? Think about it. Every time we feel lonely, it's always about someone else. There's always someone else involved in that feeling of loneliness. We might feel alone, even if we have hundreds, if not thousands of friends on Facebook, right? You might be able to swipe on Instagram, on Facebook, but you can still feel lonely. The question is why, right? And what's really missing here is a sense of connection, right? It's either, and loneliness comes when you feel uncertain and you don't have this sense of connection. That's where loneliness comes from. But so here's the thing, right? We feel, sometimes we feel a bit uncertain whether we will meet the right partner in future, whether we will find someone who can understand us, a good friend, for example. And when we have something that we want to share with people, we don't know who is the best person to share with. And that's when we feel lonely, right? Think about it. But the problem with feeling loneliness in this sense is that we are relying on the third person whom we have no control over. We are literally putting our happiness in someone else's hands, and we can't really control whether him or her is going to do the thing that make us feel less lonely. We are literally stripping the sense of happiness away from ourselves, and we're relying on someone else to give us that sense of fulfillment or connection. But when we don't have that, we feel lonely. But do we really want to put our sense of connection and happiness on someone else whom we have no control over? Is that really how we see happiness for ourselves? And think about think about it this way. If we are relying on someone else to give us that sense of connection, that sense of wholeness, that sense of completeness, if obviously I don't wish that this happens to you, but if this person doesn't appear in our life, does that mean that we can never experience fulfillment, happiness, joy, sense of connection in life? Does it mean that we're destined to be alone and feel lonely? I don't think so. And I'm not saying this just for the sake of saying it. I want to tell you this because I've been through this myself. 3 years ago, I was in a relationship, and it didn't work out for some reason. Um, and there were times that I felt extremely lonely. Right? I feel like no one in the world loves me. I feel like no one in the world understands me. I even had, at one point, I even thought that life is meaningless. And that is a dangerous thought to have in your head. And that's why today I'm going to share some strategies with you that I've learned through that very painful experience, to really share with you things that you can actually do, and things, more importantly, things that actually address how we can feel less lonely and how we can find that connection back, but it's not with someone else. Okay, so there are 3 steps I want to share with you today to help you address this sense of loneliness, right? So, firstly, is to face the emotions head on. Don't run away from your emotions. And remember when I said to you 3 years ago when I felt that I had a big sense of loneliness, I'll tell you this, right? When I felt it and I feel the emotions, I don't go, man, don't cry, man, don't cry, man, don't cry. I just let the emotions out. I cried as hard as I freaking can, right? I didn't hide it. Obviously, I didn't cry to anybody else. I find a place where I feel comfortable enough to let those emotions out, but I let it out. And that's the important thing, which is when the emotions is there, you have to just embrace it. You have to just acknowledge that it's there. And more importantly, it has to come out some way or the other. It's energy that you have to let out of your system. And do you have any experience in the past where you feel either it's sad or whatever, but when you really hold on to it, you're just like, oh, it's just this thing that keeps holding on inside of you. You can't really get over it. But when you just like shout it out or cry or beat your pillow or whatever, all of a sudden you feel like, oh, a bit more relief now. And you have the headspace to think about your next steps. And the same thing applies here in terms of loneliness, which is you need to identify what that emotion is like for you. For me, it was really sad. It was a sense of despair. It was a sense of sadness. It was like life is hopeless and it's a very negative energy. And all I wanted to do at that time was just to cry it out. And that was what I did. But the lesson here is that don't suppress the emotion when you feel it. Find an appropriate way, the right way, okay, to let it out. You can go to a jungle, give a big shout, go for a run. Someone use some very sort of like physical activities to get the emotion, the energy out. So if that's you, go for a run. I cry it out. That's how I see it. That's how I do it. So you have to work out what's the right way for you. Okay. So that's the first thing, which is face the emotions head on. Don't run away from it. And the second step is this: put the focus back on yourself, right? Once you get the emotions out of the way, you faced it. The next step is to put the focus back onto yourself. Think about what I want and who I want to become. That's how I got over it. So when I finished crying, I was like, oh, I'm sad. I finished all that stuff, right? And then suddenly I sit down with, dry tears on my face and I go, okay, what now? Because I know there's one thing inside me that's true, which is this is not who I am, right? I know that inside me, I can do much better than this. Even if it may not be obvious, but I know inside me there's a tiny part of me that goes, come on, Zane, you can push through this. You can do better. It's time to put the focus back on yourself. I spent so much time, energy, money on someone who I love. Yes, it has happened. Yes, they have gone away, but they have gone away. And you're the only person left to deal with all the situations. So that was when I look at it and go, what do I want? Who do I want to become out of this? At the end of it, how would I want myself to grow? How do I want to break out of this, sad cycle that I'm stuck in at the moment? I put the focus back on myself. I think about, is this really who I am? Is this really how I want to present myself to be? How do I want other people to talk about me when they see me coming out of this 5 years later, 1 year later? Because the truth is, it will pass and you will get there. But how are you going to get there? Is the challenge, is the question. And more importantly, is all this sadness, all this loneliness, all this whatever, is that who you really are inside of you, at the core of you? Is that who you really are? I know it's not me. And I know if you're watching this, it's not you either, because you want to find a way out of this. That's why you're watching this. Right? So have a think about it. Once you let the emotions out, second step would be put the focus back on myself. Who am I? Who do I want to become? How do I want to emerge out of this situation that I'm in at the moment? How can I make myself proud? And then it gives us the third step, which is, what if this is happening for me and not to me? What if this is an opportunity for me to rediscover myself, my passion, my purpose? I'll tell you why I come up with this step. And I learned this from one of the gurus in personal development, Tony Robbins. He talked about this famously: what if life is happening for you and not to you? And at that time, when I went through my relationship breakup, I put the focus back on myself and I thought, right, there are a few things that I've always wanted to do, but I've never had the time to do it. Maybe this is the time to do it. And at that time, I started taking singing lessons. I started going back to some personal development courses, attending events, get to meet new friends. I started to learn how to play golf. I started to take my fitness level very seriously. I went to the gym, I got back into my routine again. I train hard. Not because I want to run away from the emotions, by the way. I faced it first. That's why it's the first step. Then I put the focus back on myself and go, what do I want to do now? What is something that I've always wanted to do, but I've never had the chance to do it? That's why I took all those lessons. I went to the classes, went to events, go to the gym. And then throughout that process, that sense of connection started to build up again. But it's not with someone else, it's with myself. It's me knowing who I am as a person. It's me getting to understand myself a bit more. It's about me rediscovering who I am. It's about me finding what my passion is, about me finding what my purpose is in life, right? It's not some grandiose purpose that's sitting out there. It's just that at this very moment, what is my purpose? And my purpose at the moment is to emerge out of this. It's like a butterfly that's about to come out of its womb and turn into that amazing butterfly and fly away from a caterpillar. That's where the transformation happens. I reminded myself I'm going through a transformation at the moment. And I told myself this, which is, I'm not in a great place now. Back then, but I told myself that I'm going to put all the efforts in. I'm going to try everything I can to come out of this and become a better person, become a better version of myself. It's going to go from version 1.0 to version 2.0. And today, when I look back, that was the best thing. I still don't like it. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's still going to be emotional hurt and pain somewhere. But for me, that was a transformational point for me. And I'm very grateful that, universe or God, whatever your religious belief might be, gave me that gift. It was a gift now because I really learned so much about myself. I learned so much of what I was capable of. I learned that I can be independent in understanding my own emotions and, more importantly, find a way out of the rut that was being put on me. It happened for a reason, and I found what the reason is. And that's why now I can walk away very proud knowing who is the person I am today. And that's the gift that you have been given now, which is when you're having this sense of loneliness, when you feel a bit sad, you feel like, will someone ever love me in the future? You feel like, will I ever find the right partner? Will I ever find someone who can understand and appreciate me? Will I ever find someone who will love me as much as I love them? You will. But you have to find a connection back with yourself first. You have to find out who you are first. You have to find out, how can I turn this disaster into an opportunity for me to understand who I am, for me to rediscover who I am as a person? And how can I tap into that and come out of it a different person, a better version of yourself? So that's how I deal with loneliness, right? So just to repeat, 3 steps that I look at. I look at step 1, face the emotions head on. Don't run away. Step 2, put the focus back onto yourself. Think about what I want and who I want to become. Step 3, what if this is happening for me and not to me? And I think step 3 is the most important thing you can keep reminding yourself on. Anything that happens in life moving forward is like, what if this is happening for me and not to me? And now I know this, right? I don't want to go through this again, but I know if there's a next relationship challenge that comes up, I know that I can go through it. I have that confidence in me now because that thing that I experienced 3 years ago gave me the confidence to know that I can handle this. I found what my purpose is, what my passion is. I connected back with myself. And that's how I hope that you can come out of your own loneliness or aloneness situation that you're in at the moment. So that's the first episode, right? We went really deep into loneliness. But moving forward, there's going to be more topics we're going to explore. We're going to look at career, we're going to look at emotions, we're going to look at health, we're going to look at personal finance. So there are lots of things that we'll do. It's going to be live online classrooms. It's going to be helping someone answer their questions and answers. It might be some live Q&A that we're doing. So if you like the idea of us all learning together as a community, especially for us as young adults, all I want us to focus on is just having that 1% better, consistent baby steps to get us the massive results that we want, to become the person who we want, to become more confident in pursuing the life and career that we want, becoming the person who we strive to become. So if you enjoyed the episode, give it a like and subscribe. But here's the thing, I actually don't want you to like and subscribe. But if you think that the content is helpful for someone else, your friends or family, etc., please just share with them, because someone else might need to hear this message to help them get out of that rut. I certainly relied on resources to help me get out of it, but I certainly didn't do it on my own. And no one should have to do it on their own as well. And I hope that you can be that light, that support for them when someone really needs it. So thank you everyone for tuning in. This is the very first episode. We're going to do this live every single week. So tune in next time. Remember, give it a like and subscribe. And if you really enjoy it, what I hope you can do, let me find that slide. Where is it? Where is it? Aha. Have a chat with me on Instagram, right? If you're a person watching this going through some challenge yourself and you don't know who to speak to, who to share with, talk to me, right? What I want to promise you is this: if there's no one in the world, your family, your friends, or whatever, everyone ignores your challenge and you feel you're alone, I want you to know that you're not. And I want you to know that if you come to me, I'm going to help you out. It's going to be in a non-judgmental way. I just want to help you to go through your challenge. I just think it's so important that as people who are young nowadays, we have to hold each other. We have to lock arms. We have to go through challenges to go together to help build a better world, a better community for ourselves. So thank you so much, and hope you enjoy the episode. And if you do, please hit that like, smash that subscribe, smash that like, share it with a friend, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time you're watching, and enjoy. See ya.